weeks away
Yes,
from
sir.
the trade deadline. It's August 3rd. So, look, as long as they don't nosedive on this homestand, which is possible, they're a terrible, awful home team this year. And that just happens to be when Roman Anthony's around, as Bradfo pointed out yesterday. He doesn't go on the road trips.
Coincidence.
Make of that what you will.
Yeah.
So, no, they're a horrible road team. But I'd say home team rather. But even if they go 5-5 on the homestand, split with Tampa, win 2 out of 3 against Toronto, lose 2 out of 3 against Baltimore, or whatever, however that math works out.
Because honestly, you'll probably still be a half game out. Based on the way the other American League teams have played, they needed to go 14-2 over 16 to get up to where they are. But if they play roughly 500, I can't imagine too many teams leave them in the dust. And we'll see what happens at the deadline. Maybe the Twins make a move or something, or maybe, the Astros, or maybe some of those teams around them make a big move, and you start to think a little bit differently about it.
What's the farthest they can be out on deadline day where you say, I don't think they should buy?
3.
I think that's about right.
Maybe 3 with 3 teams ahead of them. Because that's another thing that I've been looking at the whole time is just how many teams do you need to leapfrog, or how many teams do you need to play better than? And at one point, it was like 5 games out with 5 teams in front, and you're like, oh, my God, sell right now. And then they go on this historic run, and now they put themselves a half game back. And I know there's 2 teams tied for the 3rd wild card, but still, you're right there. So essentially 1 team in front. Yeah, okay, that's a pretty good place to be. You could lose a little bit of ground, and depending on, how it looks and, injuries and all that stuff, I still think you would be a buyer, And it was funny because yesterday we sort of brought this up, and, we're both, back on the bandwagon if they would allow us. But still, trade Sonny Gray, trade Chapman. There's still people saying you should move on from some of these older guys.
I was stunned at how many people wanted to move Gray yesterday when we were talking about it.
I'm like, you really need Gray right now. And that Ken Rosenthal card, he's like, well, you still don't have Crochet back. I'm like, well, when are you getting Crochet back?
I'm not personally factoring that in the way
he is. If you knew, if he truly was on, the 15-day IL, and they're like, he's going to miss 2-3 starts and he's going to be back, all right, then maybe you get a good return on Sonny Gray. Maybe there's a little bit of a discussion. But I don't know when Crochet or Early is going to pitch again, and Suarez is currently dealing with something. I want to stay in it, so I can't get rid of Sonny Gray.
Would you rather they sell or stand pat?
Take
buying off the table for a second.
I would rather they, I guess, sell. I hate standing pat. I hate doing neither, because you do in this case have really, I would say, some commodities around the league. You have 2 or 3 guys that I think you could get a haul for. Right, this is very similar to the year where you're like, well, if Bogarts and JD Martinez are just going to walk away, maybe trade them. You could get something for them, and you're not going to re-sign them. I don't think they re-signed Sonny Gray. Chapman's maybe more of a toss-up. So I every year, I want them to pick a direction.
So I would say I'd rather have them stand pat than sell. I don't want them to sell. Yeah, and so standing pat would be shameful. They need to make a big move to get themselves in the mix in the American League. And by the way, they're in the mix in the American League. They have played under Chad Tracy, the 3rd best baseball in the AL. Tampa has the highest winning percentage. The Yankees have the next highest. The Red Sox, under Chad Tracy, over the course of the year, would have the 3rd highest winning percentage in the AL, higher than the White Sox, who they just swept, higher than the Rangers, who they beat 2 out of 3, higher than, who else am I missing on that list? Maybe Seattle. So, yeah, I think they absolutely should buy. But now, I also don't want them 3 games out and being like, here's Chapman, here's Gray, trade Contreras, and maybe Contreras in a separate bucket.
Yeah, Contreras now, to me, I've changed my tune on him, but yeah, I get your point.
But I'd rather they just try to stick it out and hope they get reinforcements, or just stay hot and carry their way into the postseason than truly sell. Short answer, Keefe, because I think I know it, but it's worth asking. We'll ask you at 617-779-7937. What's your confidence level in Breslow at the trade deadline?
It's low.
Okay.
It's really low.
Why?
I think you've more than me, but we've defended him more than most, and you can't ignore his last 2 off seasons. I mean, find another GM the last 2 off seasons that has acquired either via free agency or trade that many All-Stars. In just those 2 seasons, it's 5 All-Stars, and we still can't believe how Sonny Gray isn't. So it should be 6 All-Stars that he acquired, let alone some other little pieces here and there, right?
Right. Last year was Chapman, Bregman, Crochet.
Yeah, but then also Narvaez, who isn't as good this year, but last year was your starting catcher and was solid, and blah, blah, blah.
And then this year, Contreras, Suarez, should be Gray.
Yeah. That's pretty good to me. However, I'll give him the credit for that, but then we'll also say, what did you do during your last 2 trade deadlines?
So why do you think? Because how could your confidence not be low in Breslow at the deadline based on what he's done the last 2 deadlines, which have been disastrous? Why do you think he can do it in the offseason but not at the deadline?
Well, so first of all, he's had a couple of really good trades, but then also like free agent signings. So free agent signings is just something you don't do, obviously, in the middle
Suarez,
of the season.
You can't just sign. Chapman, you can't just sign.
I think the prices are pretty high, as they always are, and that's one of the arguments for, I guess, the people saying trade Sonny Gray or Chapman, because the asking price should be high, and maybe you get that return. And then I think he's just afraid to make that deal or to go sort of the extra mile and what it's going to take. I mean, he really kind of settled across the board on like everybody that he got over the last 2 years, right? The relievers 2 years ago were trash.
Ugh.
He got Danny Jansen. He got, was it James Paxton bringing him back was one of them?
That sounds right.
Just Dustin May and Steven Matz.
Dust off Rich Hill too?
Maybe.
He might have. Yeah, he might have. So like, I think it's just that you have like multiple GMs competing for the same player, and he's like afraid to go the extra mile. Like he doesn't want to throw in either extra prospects or whatever.
I agree.
Well, if you believe reports from last deadline, the Dodgers could not believe that he offered Tibbs for Dustin May.
Fine.
Yeah, okay. So then
right.
maybe he panicked.
He didn't
then.
call on Joe Ryan until 5 minutes before the deadline ended.
It's probably right. Here's what I would say that is different about Breslow. You think last year he was comfortable in his job? You think the first year on the job he was comfortable in his job?
First year he was comfortable, yeah.
So I bet the last 2 years he was comfortable in his job.
Oh,
At
right.
the trade deadline last year, they were in the playoffs.
More of a hot seat. But is he allowed to fully do his job?
Well, I don't know about, but like if it's up to him,
yeah,
he should function out of desperation, if nothing else, to get something done. Now, maybe desperate deals make for a bad deal, but he should be desperate to add.
Yeah.
He might overpay. It might be out of desperation. We might look back and go, he was just worried about saving his own ass. But like, what's different about Breslow? And if you want to be charitable or at least glass half full and say, I think he'll be different at this deadline than the last 2, which were awful, he kind of needs to do it to save his own skin.
Yeah. And then, but each one of these trades is going to be viewed differently, meaning, if you're acquiring somebody like Sonny Gray, like say you're another team around the league or like another version of Sonny Gray the Red Sox get, you kind of know what it is. You're like, all right, we're all in for this. Like this guy better be good for 2 months and a playoff run. And then if those prospects end up being great, whatever, but we needed it for this run. Or there's like another type of trade that, Rob Bradford mentioned a couple months ago where he's like, what about like Yordan Alvarez? Like if the Astros fall out of it, now it's like, all right, this guy's a part of the present and the future. So if I have to throw in an extra couple of prospects that we didn't want to trade, then way different.
Yeah.
Way different. So like how aggressive will he be on the rentals? Because that was another thing you heard last year. They don't want any rentals. And you're like, why? Like you can't be like, and then you say that, and then you brought in 2.
You brought in,
2 scrubby ones.
Well, at the deadline and in the offseason, you brought in basically rentals and Gray and Contreras. I mean, those guys aren't part of the long-term solution.
Bregman.
Good call.
Bregman was a rental. Walker Buehler.
Chapman was kind of a rental. You signed him up again.
You ended up signing him
You
again.
kind of love rentals, actually. So you shouldn't be afraid of that. Anyway, will Breslow be different at this trade deadline? Mixed in with all our thoughts on Bowser. It's a cool bat that Wilson Contreras has.
That's an awesome bat.
In the home run
Love
derby.
that bat.